the state of Ohio. It was the city of Chicago. Last time it's the state of Ohio. Now we do the Cleveland Guardians and the Cincinnati Reds on playing GM. We also have Sacramento spending on a free agent? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Jack Peter, Just Baseball Show. As always, it is presented by BetMGM, and today is Friday, December 6th. What were you doing before recording? Because I was listening to the Dirty Heads. I think they have an excellent piano player.
Funny you said that. So as you can see behind me, for all those watching on YouTube, first of all, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It is the best way to support this show in the off season, especially. And as we are playing general manager with the two teams from the great state of Ohio, make sure Reds fans, Guardians fans, let us know if some of these trades or free agent signings don't make a lot of sense or make too much sense and you love it. But I am in the Dirty Heads studio. And if
Okay.
people remember the Dirty Heads, fantastic band, their pianist is my girlfriend's half brother. So
Yep.
I'm sitting in here. It's a soundproof room. I'm by myself. It feels a little eerie because I don't know if I've ever recorded in a soundproof room before. Maybe I'm making my way up, but this isn't exactly my studio. So I'm staying at the same level, but I feel cooler. This is
Understood.
soundproof. I feel
Understood.
smarter too. Like
I will.
all of my thoughts are concentrated so deep into my brain. It's gonna be a great episode by me mostly.
They're not escaping. They're bouncing
No,
back and
they're
forth. It's
right
going to be a
here.
terrible episode for me. I already know
Yeah.
that. So I'll get you prepped on that front. But I do want to hit some free agent rumblings right now before we get to the Sevy thing, because I popped open The Athletic and I popped open X and I popped open ESPN.com before all this. And I was like, there's a lot of dialogue happening right now.
Talk to me.
And Soto's obviously the big one. But I saw a tweet from BR Walkoff, Bleacher Report's, baseball arm, and they cited Matt Gelb, who does wonderful work covering the Phillies for the Athletic, and he said that Matt Gelb reported that the Phillies have had trade conversations surrounding
Oh yeah.
Alec Boehm, which makes a ton of sense, Nick Castellanos, which is like okay, and Ranger Suarez. Here's my thing on that: the Phillies are one of the best in Major League Baseball at a certain thing, and that is starting pitching. And they have a three-headed monster that they can, I do believe, win a World Series with. I know they haven't done it yet, but I do think that the trio of Wheeler, who you recently extended, Nola, who you recently brought back on big money, and Ranger Suarez is good enough to win a World Series. Why would you trade from that strong suit to patch another hole?
So I want to say first, I would not trade Ranger Suarez. But to play devil's advocate, are they thinking that, well, Christopher Sanchez is just a photocopy of what we're getting from Ranger
We
Suarez?
we just
We've
can't
already,
do that because you need
I know,
four of them, and I think
I know.
those three and Sanchez, those are the four.
And that's why I don't even like playing devil's advocate because I agree with you. Like, I'm just, why would they? Well, they probably think that they have Christopher Sanchez. They've already paid Nola. They've already paid Wheeler. Maybe they don't think that they're going to want to pay Ranger Suarez, so let's just see what we can get.
Yeah.
Maybe some team who's desperate for starting pitching will overpay with prospects. We also have Andrew Painter coming up. We also have Mick Abel, who, we'll see if he ends up actually being a staple in this rotation. But you also, in my opinion, have one of the worst starting pitchers I've ever seen in Taiwan Walker still. But that's for another time. So, no, I would not trade him at all. The reason I laughed was, did you see that Dombrowski wants Kirby or Gilbert
That
in
dude.
an Alec Boehm trade? And I just laughed. I was like, Dombrowski was just that's such a Dombrowski move because he's like, might as well try. That's what I would do if I was a GM. It would come out like Peter Apple, the GM of the Phillies, is asking for the world for his guys. And I just go, I'm just asking. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, Peter Apple, the president of baseball operations for the Philadelphia Phillies, called the Cincinnati Reds inquiring about the availability of Ellie De La Cruz because he
All
brought it up on a podcast last year.
all I'm doing is asking the question. You can say no. I'm just putting it out there. I'm putting it into the airwaves just to get people's brains going.
Sometimes you should be embarrassed to ask for something. And I think
No.
Alec Boehm, sitting duck third baseman Alec Boehm, whose OPS was in the low to mid sixes after April, is not going to cost Logan Gilbert or George Kirby. But you know what? Like, I'd be kind of embarrassed to ask for that. But, I'm not in that position of power and decision making with a Major League Baseball organization. So, tip of the cap to you, Dave Dombrowski, for having the cojones to
I love it.
ask. To ask. And
See what
credit to
happens.
Jerry DePoto for not hanging the phone up and blocking his phone number.
I know. I think they probably had a good laugh about it. I don't know if Dombrowski made that because there's no way he seriously thought in his mind Alec Boehm's value is worth George Kirby.
Right.
There's
And
just
and
no way.
Gilbert's probably the more valuable one of the
Yeah.
two of them. So it's
And that's
like,
why I started with Kirby
yeah,
because, like, even him starting there, I wouldn't trade any of the Mariners starting pitchers for Alec Boehm. None of
no,
them. I would need Alec Boehm and a relatively top prospect to start even the discussion for a Brian Wu.
yeah, I think so. But it's funny. I feel like Jerry DePoto could have been there, like, come on, Dave. Like, let's be serious now.
Yeah.
That is such a come on, Dave type of ask. And you just move
100%.
on from there. Frankie Montas is a Met. I do want to hit that quick. Other
Yeah.
rumblings, too. Corbin Burns met with the Yankees and the Blue Jays. You see that?
Yeah, I mean, he's meeting with a bunch of teams. It makes sense. But I think that, right, if I'm Corbin Burns, I'm waiting until Juan Soto signs.
Yeah.
Because that one team, whether it is the Yankees signing Soto or it is the Mets or the Dodgers or the Blue Jays or the Red Sox or any of these mystery teams, they get Juan Soto, Corbin Burns' market opens up. And they're
Yep.
both Boris clients as well. So, yeah, I'd expect Corbin Burns to be meeting with these teams. Not surprised at all. The Blue Jays have been in. Why are they in on all these big time free agents? They're going for it. Good for them. I wouldn't if I'm them, but hey, their ownership group is worth about $11 billion. So yeah, they should be in on all of these free agents. They have the money to do so. So I get it. So Corbin Burns meeting with these teams makes no difference to me. Just
Gotcha.
testing the waters. Soto signs first, and then Burns will come after.
One more Seattle thing before I forget, and then we go to Soto. Seattle reportedly has been in trade talks around Bohm, obviously, and
Obviously,
Nico Horner. I think also,
obviously,
obviously, like
yeah.
they're looking for second base help, they're looking for third base help, and
They're
maybe
looking
some
for
shortstop.
guys. They're looking for guys who can put the bat on the ball more often than not.
Yeah, hey, do you have a beating heart and are
Yeah,
slightly above average offensively, and you want to play for the Seattle Mariners?
I wonder too. Alec Boehm. Um, maybe he didn't have a good offensive showing at Philly last year. Now going to that batter's eye, he might hit 100 there, or he figures it out and it's a good piece. But yeah, the Mariners need to add bats, so I'm not surprised that they're going after everybody who's quote unquote available.
Big report, big rumbling is Soto.
Yeah.
And Jeff Passan had an appearance on SportsCenter on Wednesday night
Hmm.
that gave us more information than we had gotten whatsoever in the Soto sweepstakes. So it was really
Yeah.
nice. It was all condensed into a 5 minute segment on TV.
Yeah.
And this is what we know about Soto so far. And I know that Ken Rosenthal is reporting things as well. And, there's an idea like Buster Olney has a decent idea as we go into the winter meetings. The big takeaways from that are that the bidding phase for Juan Soto services has gotten past the $600 million threshold. And Passon does believe that it can push closer to or totally to $700 million for Juan Soto. The other big thing is it seems like it is industry consensus that Juan Soto will sign before the winter meetings start in Arlington on Sunday or Monday.
Which I don't understand at all. I saw that report. We posted it on Instagram. If I'm him, I'm going through the entire winter meetings process to try and rally it up because we saw. I mean, I was at the winter meetings when Aaron Judge's market just started going crazy, and at the end of it, right, he had this offer from the Giants, he had this offer from the Padres, and that the Yankees came in at the final moment and then gave him the 9-year 360. So I if I'm Soto and I'm Boris, I'm going through the entire winter meeting. So it was surprising to see that, oh yeah, Juan Soto will be signed by the beginning. I was just surprised to see it.
So counterpoint, I will
Yeah.
present a counterpoint here because I actually think
Counter
that
me.
it is the right decision. You're
Okay.
firing on all cylinders, man. You were right
I
about that
told you.
studio.
I told
You
you. Look
got
at
it.
this.
You're so
I
on, man.
I can't hear anything but the thoughts in my own brain, which is huge because normally I'm only at 50% capacity. There's other things going on. I'm easily distracted, ADHD, whatever. I'm locked in right now.
You took the limitless pill.
Yeah.
Was McConaughey in that one? I think it was
No,
McConaughey.
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley
That's a
Cooper.
good movie. It's a great movie.
I never saw it. I just knew that it was one of the handsome guys with long hair that was in
You
it.
know what
So
that's
McConaughey or Cooper.
you know where I put that in? That's like a top five watch on a plane movie. Because it's not like one that you'll sit down and like get the popcorn and it's like, oh, we're watching Limitless tonight.
Yeah.
But if I'm on a plane, I need to pass the time and it's usually available on some freaking United or Spirit or whatever.
Yeah.
It's just on there. Top five plane movie.
So I just had this discussion 2 days ago.
Interesting.
Crazy Rich Asians came up, and
Mm,
that's my
great
plane
plane
movie.
movie.
I
Great
watch
plane movie.
that's my
That's above
plane movie.
Limitless. Great plane movie.
Yeah, I watch it I watch it on planes all the time. United still has it. I know Delta had it for a while. And I cry every time I see the wedding scene. Every time. And I
Okay, that's
cry
soft. You
on
didn't have to
planes.
admit that.
Fine. I'm a movie crier. I cried at that animated Grinch that Pharrell narrated. It was awesome. But that's what I got.
What's that dog movie? Um, oh God.
Not Airbud. I was
No,
gonna
not
say
Air
Airbud.
Bud. It's the one that makes everybody cry. It's like the big dog. People in the YouTube
Uh,
comments let me know what
yeah.
I'm.
Shiloh.
I was gonna say Argo, but it's not even.
It's
That's
not
like with Ben
Argo. Argo's a
Affleck.
great
That's
movie.
not. Yeah.
But
Whatever.
counterpoint here, getting back to that,
Okay.
I do think that it does make sense for Soto to sign before the winter meetings because so much of what we have talked about with marquee free agents is that they want to see the direction of the club that they are signing with, right? Like when you sign somebody to that big of a deal, when you
But,
sign somebody for more than $500 million, you want them to be a huge part of the direction that you are going.
hmm
Note that Otani signed before Yamamoto signed, right?
Yeah.
Like that helped aid the Yamamoto signing process. So I think what Soto wants to do is he wants to commit to this marriage that we've talked about, and I know that Arm and I talked about that at the beginning of this week. He wants to commit to a marriage with an organization, and he wants to make sure that that organization is putting all their chips forward in like an effective direction in hopes to win with Juan Soto right away. And what I deem that as is he wants to get this out of the way so they can focus on filling out the rest of the roster. Why would he carry it on and you miss out on some free agents that could have helped your organization?
I think you totally convinced me. I think you're totally right. The lens I was thinking of is what is best for me. Me
Yeah.
as in Juan Soto. How do I possibly get the most money? I get a bidding war going, and then ultimately one team goes over the top at the winter meetings. Maybe after, the 8 to 10 hours that they're having the meetings, they go out and start drinking, and one of them has an epiphany, and it's like, we will be the 700 million guy. We will then give it to Juan Soto at the end. But you're totally right. Every single team that is in the Juan Soto sweepstakes, Juan Soto is their number one priority. So he's already heard all the pitches. He already knows all the offers. We even saw reports that he's already started eliminating teams because he has multiple $600 million offers on the table. So I totally get that. I'll sign initially as we get started. And then because I already signed with you, let's say he signs with the Yankees or the Mets, those two teams, Blue Jays, Red Sox, just all these teams, they
Yeah.
probably said, once we sign you, this is our plan once we get to the winter
Yes.
meetings. And he's probably like, oh, I love that plan. Let's say it's the Mets. We're gonna get you, and then we're gonna get Corbin Burns. So let's sign you now. And he probably feels really good about that. So I totally agree with you. I think you're on the right track.
Yeah, I think, for the sake of the exercise, and I know that you didn't want to, put him on the Yankees for the sake of that, I will put him on the Yankees.
Thank you.
They say there's like this promise, quote unquote, that Hal Steinbrenner is like, okay, if we pay you, we're also going to solve first base and we're going to pay Christian Walker. You have
Yes.
no idea when Walker's going to sign. You don't know the timeline of Christian Walker. You might as well just get it out of the way. And then the winter meetings, instead of the Soto frenzy, can turn into the frenzy for literally everybody else. And
Uh-huh.
all these teams not only have a Burns direction and a Bregman direction and an Adamas direction, but like Hal Steinbrenner, Brian Cashman, they could say, you know what? We're going to nip this in the bud. We're going to go get Christian Walker before anybody else does. We're going to put together a pitch that he can't say no to. And Juan Soto has his first baseman for the next three,
Yeah.
4 years. That's my thought on that.
No, I think you're totally spot on there. And did you see, speaking of Bregman for a second, Astros gave an offer around 6 for 160?
I'd be
Felt
saying
right to me.
yes.
But he's looking for 200, which I get from Bregman's point of view. He has been one of the better third basemen and just overall better players, over the last half decade in Major League Baseball. But it's like, yeah, but Bregman, now we're paying you for the back half of your career. And it's not like you were awesome last year. And it's not like you're this premier defender. You're a good defender, but we really need to bat the bat to get there. And after last season, he's still a good player. He's still got a great postseason pedigree and all that. But when I think Alex Bregman, I don't think 200 M's. I
No,
think the Astros gave him a fair deal.
it sounds comparable to the Dansby Swanson deal, which was 7 for
But also
177,
Dansby's a shortstop.
and
Dansby's a
and an
shortstop. There's
elite
a little more value
defender.
there.
But I
Yeah, an
feel
elite
like
defender, so you have a higher floor there.
I guess yeah, my
But
like
I love Bregman, but I
I think he's
6 for
awesome.
160. Maybe it's a little low, but I think it's a middle ground. I think they're going to find a 6-year 180 deal in there.
Probably.
Yeah,
I also know that players don't do this because they have too much confidence to do this. But if I were an executive in Major League Baseball right now, I'd be looking at what happened for the final 2 months of the season to Isaac Paredes at Wrigley. He gets out of a fortuitous situation for him, and all of a sudden that 30 homer threat doesn't look like one. And he has every opportunity to redeem himself this year with Wrigley as his home ballpark. But right now, like, there's a lot of people around the league that are saying that Isaac Paredes is a Tropicana Field merchant. I know you are.
it's
You were
it's
saying
me.
it at the time, and I'm
It's
not ready to
I've been
hold the
saying it.
L yet.
Yeah.
But
No,
my
we're not. You're not holding L's until we get a full season.
yeah, but my
But I'm
point,
currently winning
I understand. I understand. And I'm winning the Javier thing, even though Christian Javier
by a
isn't on the
lot.
show.
Yeah, I
I
lost that
will
one. It's okay.
say Bregman has this amazing situation where he gets to pepper balls into row two of the Crawford boxes
Yeah.
for the next 6 years. Like, think about that.
Yeah.
That's a really good situation for a right-handed hitter that sneaks balls over the left field wall.
And you're protected by Jordan and Tucker, and you got Altuve at the top. I mean, you're going to drive in runs. Your guys are still going to compete for World Series, except 6 years, 180. I mean,
Yeah.
it's 30 million a year. That's plenty of freaking money. I know these guys aren't built like that. It's like, of course, it's plenty of money. It's plenty of money for all of them. But
Yeah.
I don't know. 200 is we're stepping into a different air.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's there right now because of his age and because of his last season. But I still think 6 for 180 is fair. And I think you should go back to Houston. I think that makes the most sense here.
I think it does too. I think the
Yeah.
only other organization that would make some sense for him, if Boston wants to pay that and do the Devers shift to first
Yeah.
base, I think that would make sense too. But like,
Then
why
where
would
does
you go to?
Casas go? Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Boston. I almost think if the Phillies end up trading him, end up trading Bohm, maybe they're the team to swoop in for Bregman.
I think Philly and Boston. I just see all this Toronto stuff. I'm like, why would you sign up for that right now? They might not be intact in 2 years.
Yeah, but we got to start pretending that we understand the Blue Jays, we understand the Angels. I mean, they're just operating under logic that we just don't understand. And maybe it works for them, maybe it doesn't. But
Yeah.
trying to figure it out here is a waste of the airtime.
Yeah. I think the two concrete signings that we have at this point over the last few days kind of go hand in hand. And I want to start with the one that came first.
Mm,
Frankie Montas to the Mets. two
yeah,
years for $34 million.
I like it.
You like it because of the innings output?
I like it because I'm a Frankie Montas believer. I mean, we are not far removed from the Yankees trading 5 prospects in order to get Frankie Montas. Then what happens? Shoulder surgery,
Yeah.
right? The injuries. And then he bounces around last year between the Cincinnati Reds and the Milwaukee Brewers. Didn't really work out with the Reds that much. And it kind of makes sense. Was still a little bit banged up, recovering off that surgery. And also, then you got to go pitch in Great American Ballpark, where Frankie Montas is not known as a ground ball king, right? We're going to talk about the Reds in a little bit. Adding Brady Singer makes a lot of sense. Tons of ground balls. But Frankie Montas is a good pitcher. He gets ground balls, but that's not his game, right? His game is stuff. Then he goes over to Milwaukee and looks pretty good. So when we're looking at how much starting pitchers are making in this market, and is anyone else intrigued by this Mets pitching lab? Look at what they did with Mania. Look at what they did with Severino. Look at him cashing in. We'll talk about that move in a minute. I'm intrigued here. I'm intrigued. And you know who I trust? I trust Stearns. I trust that he knows what he's doing. So 2 years, 34. Montas, you look at him last year and you think to yourself, 2 years, 34? Guys, it's the market. Matthew Boyd, 2 for 29. Nick Martinez, I think the Reds got a deal at 21 million on the
Yeah.
qualifying. That's just where we are right now. So I'm not worried about the money. And are we going to be worried about Steve Cohen's money? 34 million for him is a rounding error. So I
Yeah.
like this move. I think if they can turn Montas into what Severino was last year, which I think is well within the cards, you're getting a lot of value here. I like the move a lot. And it's also because all the stuff I just named, but I'm a Frankie Montas believer. I still think he's got it. I was a believer when the Yankees trade for him. I like that trade. I ate crow. I liked when the Reds signed him. Didn't exactly work out. I liked when the Brewers added him. It worked out for them. I think it's going to work for the Mets.
Yeah, it sort of kind of worked for Milwaukee. I think it was a 4.5 ERA, but the K rate jumped,
Yeah,
and
he
the walk
looked
rates
better. He looked
stayed the
better.
same.
That's what I care about.
Yeah, I think he was put in better situations to succeed than
Yeah,
what he was previously. I do think that this was probably the Severino example of this offseason, and
yeah.
people saw how well the Sevy thing worked for New York. So then all of a sudden, a 1 year deal for 13 turned into a 2 year deal for 34, which is 17 per.
That's not that expensive. He got 16 years on a 1 year deal to the Reds after surgery.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's not that expensive. It sounds expensive
it's a
because it's like
lot,
Frankie
man.
Montas, 17 million. That's the market. Juan Soto, Jack, is about to sign for
I know.
$650 million.
It is the market, and the market is, I think, due for a correction at some point, but I
No,
don't
it
know
ain't.
when that's
No,
going.
it ain't. Like it just never will.
Dude,
You and
baseball's
Arm
going to make
keep
the
pounding the
price of the
table of
dollar
this.
go into the like.
I'm telling you, like you and Arm, you do the same thing. It's like, oh, the money, the money. I'm like, guys, it should be even more than we think. It's already too much. That's
Yeah,
what the market is. I think it's a quote. I don't know if it's Theo Epstein or somebody smart said this. It's like, if you if you pay market value, you'll never actually sign a free agent.
yeah.
You'll
Probably
always
have to
finish
be a year
third
or
or
two ahead.
something. So I thought it was a good deal. You get him in early, right? You get that arm in. I think it's going to work. I really do.
So the ripple effect of that is a certain Mets arm is no longer a Mets arm. Luis Severino to Oakland, Sacramento, the Athletics. Luis Severino to the A's, 3 years, $67 million. That's essentially $22 million a year. You get a $10 million signing bonus, and there is a player option after the second season. I do want to say this. It's a near impossible pitch to free agents to go pitch in a minor league ballpark for that team that essentially just destroyed a fan base and pitch for that owner. But the promise of this young lineup could be convincing enough. And what I would be doing if I was David Forst, and I bet this is close to what he did, was saying, look, I know that there are some things that are stacked against us. Like, hey, you're pitching in Sacramento, you're living in Sacramento, you were just living in New York last year, and you were, beloved in New York for a team that was the story of Major League Baseball at points. What I will say is, like, this lineup could be the start of the next good thing for athletics baseball. We see Oakland work in cycles. We've seen it throughout our baseball lives where they cycle out the vets and then all of a sudden Matt Chapman and Matt Olson come up together. And like Yoenis Cespedes was awesome when Brett Laurie was there and Donaldson. Like all these names, they all work in cycles. And I think this grouping of Rooker, depending on what they do with him, but of Lawrence Butler, of Jacob Wilson, Shea Langoliers, maybe Zach Geloff on a bounce back, JJ Bleday, who just had a breakout year, Mason Miller in year two. Like, this is the next cycle of good A's baseball, and Sevy can be the opening day starter and the guy that issues in that next wave of successful A's baseball. And I think he was sold on that pitch.
So I love the pitch of the new and improving A's, and I couldn't agree with you more. But I think the reason he was convinced is most likely the A's gave him the most money. I would be very, very surprised to hear if there were larger offers on the table, or at least the same, and he chose the A's.
So I'll tell you, if we're talking about relative to market value and all that jargon, I thought this was a pretty fair price for what Sevy just gave you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair price too. And this one is tough. This is a really tough deal, for me personally because I like Luis Severino. I like the dollar amount. It makes sense to me. I love your pitch about the A's. It makes the A's better. But fuck you, John Fisher.
Yeah,
I mean, a
weird time to spend.
total what that felt like the most disrespectful move possible. And doing it early. All you wanted to do was get out of Oakland, huh? And you ruined the product on the field. You almost couldn't help it because at least the people in your minor league system are at least trying, and your scouts are at least drafting good people that you didn't have to pay. So good on them, but screw you, man. Now you make a signing, 3 years, 67 million. When you traded away Matt Olson, you traded away Sean Murphy. Every single time you get a star, you send him off, and then the prospects you get are trash. Not every time, but most of the time. And now you make the signing. So it's tough because I hate John Fisher for this move in a vacuum, but at the same time, I love it for the A's because it's going to make them better. I love that they are actually signing free agents. It's good to see that these small market ish, teams are in fact buying and getting into the market and luring free agents. So I love all of that, but all of that is diminished because of the hatred for John Fisher after ruining the product as soon as you leave. Now you're making deals. So it's bittersweet for me. And I'd really want to know from A's fans in the comments section below, how do you feel about it? Because obviously it makes your team better. You like that you're spending, but as soon as your owner leaves, as soon as he rips the team away from Oakland, great sports city, now he's signing. That has to make you upset. It makes me upset.
Yeah, I mean it. I think you put it really well. Like I view this as a good move for the A's, and I view this as a good move for David Force, the GM.
Yes.
I view this as an optically terrible move for John
Yeah.
Fisher.
You turn off your comments on all social media, like during the year
They've been
too,
off
so you
for
don't
like
hear
two
the noise.
years.
Oh, I know. And then now you're
If
I
they
hate
if
it.
they turn him back on for
Of
this,
course, you
I
know they
saw
will.
I saw our buddies at Cespedes Family Barbecue said, I just wonder if they're going to turn on comments again when they announce the Severino signing, and that would just be double birds to the city of Oakland and that
Yeah.
fan base. And
Ugh.
I feel really bad um, in terms of strictly an on field product. I like seeing a team like the A's spend money. It just sucks that they're doing it right now when they were boxed out by the guy that
Yes.
had the checkbook for the last several years.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it sucks. But in terms of on field, like they have their
Yeah.
opening day starter and a bottom five, bottom two, bottom three rotation in Major League Baseball probably got out of the gutter with a guy like Luis Severino leading it.
Sevy's a bulldog. And is this the only signing they make? I imagine now that they're going to be a little bit more active
I
because
don't
John
think so.
Fisher is such a piece of shit. Of course he's going to sign more free agents now.
I mean, I read the article I think on Trade Rumors that the A's inquired about Walker Bueller and Bueller, shut it down quickly because he didn't jive with that identity. He didn't jive with, you know, playing in Sacramento and, playing for that owner probably. But I think the pitch of the promise of the young lineup and the money at the end of the day will talk to one or two more guys, and the A's may be better than you would expect in 2025. I'll just leave it there.
You know who they also gave a big offer to? And then they went with Severino instead? You see that report?
No,
Sean Manaea.
really, a little
Yeah.
reunion.
Yeah. Thought that was interesting. So
Huh.
that's why I think this is not the A's last signing.
Yeah. I think they need another starting pitcher. I think they
Oh
need
yeah.
like three
They
more
need
starting pitchers.
they need a starting rotation.
Right.
Now
They
they
need a
have some
rotation.
guys. They have some guys to be fair that had decent years who were young who Osvaldo Bido I thought was great down the stretch and
Bito's a good swing man.
no I know but he was kind of nasty for no
I think
reason.
I think Estes can be a back of the
Yeah.
rotation starter. Like they
Yeah.
have guys
They have a
like
lot of
that, but
fours
yeah, they have a
vibes.
bunch of fours. So like, let's sign a one, a two, and a three.
Let's do it.
I think they got their one. So we're gonna do playing GM for the Athletics down the line shortly. But we've got the Guardians coming up and then the Reds to cap off the show. Before that, we'll take our first break. I prepped the Cleveland Guardians so Peter Apple didn't have to. Here's the deal with the Cleveland Guardians. Their 2024 payroll, $104 million. They were 23rd in all of baseball, but that resulted in a 92-69 record. They won the division by 6.5 games. Stephen Vogt was the American League Manager of the Year. They lost in the ALCS to the Yankees. They were middle of the pack in runs scored. They were 14th in Major League Baseball. They were 12th in homers, which is better than I was really anticipating any Guardians team to be. You almost always pencil them in for bottom 10 in baseball in home run output, but they were top 15. They had the fourth fewest team strikeouts. They have an identity. It's not go down via the K. They were fifth in stolen bases. They were 24th in starter ERA, but that's okay because they were half a run better than literally anybody else in the bullpen in Major League Baseball. Their 2025 payroll estimation as it stands right now is $98 million. That is $6 million shy of their final number in 2024. I've got some transactions written down, and I also have the diamond. We're back on the OneNote, by the way. I
We're
mean,
so back.
I
We're
was
so back.
telling I was telling Aram I got the Apple Pencil, and like I was idiotic with this stuff, man. I went into a Target, and I asked for the Apple Pencil that works with my iPad. They were like, "Oh, what kind of iPad do you have?" And I was like, "I don't know, the Pro or whatever it is." They gave me one. Obviously, didn't work. I go
Obviously.
back, and they're like, "Which generation pencil do you need?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, am I supposed to
You get
know this?"
the
And
number
they were
two
just like,
pencil.
yeah, it was like Dixon Ticonderoga #2. And they were like, just use this one where you can charge it elsewhere. Like this will work with pretty much everything. And I was like, okay, word. So
It's
that's the
working.
one I got. So Apple Pencil back, iPad Notes are back. Transactions to this point are they sent Eli Morgan to the Cubs for Alphonsine Rosario. We talked about that. They
Which we
added
like. We like for them.
decent prospect at the lower levels to their
Yeah.
fold. They traded Peter Strzelecki to the Pirates for cash. They non-tendered George Valera. They brought him back on a minor league deal. They agreed to a 1-year, $4 million contract with Austin Hedges to be their backup catcher again. And then
Obviously.
Shane Bieber, Matt Boyd, Alex Cobb, James Karinchak, all free agents now. Where do you want to start?
Um, I'd like to start with some needs, but unfortunately, I think we should start with the latest rumor that's coming out of Cleveland
Yeah.
that they are interested, or at least taking offers for first baseman DH Josh Naylor, as well as outfielder Lane Thomas. And John Fisher gets me fired up. This gets me the second most fired up. I'm very disappointed here. The listeners of the Just Baseball Show know that I am a Guardians lover, Guardians believer, a Guardians better, a Guardians everything. And to realize that the owners of the Guardians, the Dolan brothers, I think it's Larry and Paul, are worth more than Hal Steinbrenner. You heard that correctly. The Guardians owners rank fifth in terms of net worth when it comes to MLB owners. And they are 23rd in payroll, and they are looking to get rid of Josh Naylor and Lane Thomas. Now, I understand from the Guardians' perspective of how they have operated, but I continually be upset by these rich owners crying poor. What do you mean you're trading Josh Naylor? So you don't have to pay him. Why not? And I don't want to hear, well, we have Kyle Manzardo. Who
Why
plays
don't you want to
DH
hear
then?
that? No, hold
Because
on.
I want both of them in the lineup. What do we need with Cleveland? We need more offense, right? So we're going to get rid of the guy who hit the grand slam in the playoffs, and we're going to get rid of the guy who was your second best power hitter to Jose Ramirez, who's 27 years old? Stop. For what? Prospects, and we're just going to continue to go through the motions again against right-handed pitching. This Guardians team was not great. But you know how you get worse trading away Josh Naylor? I mean, you put Naylor at DH and you put Manzardo at first against righties, and you're going to hit them. I mean, what are we doing? Stop. And I
Uh,
get it. Well, they're going to be a walk, and the Guardians don't spend money. First of all, they should. They have the fifth richest owner. Second of all, you should not be trading offense. If you were trading Joey Cantillo, okay, sure. If you were trading Ben Lively, okay, sure. If you were listening on Tristan McKenzie, okay, sure. I'm not listening on frickin' Lane Thomas and Josh Naylor. I'm just not. They are, and that's why I'm fired up. That's why I'm upset.
So I don't know the whole scope. I do know that in the summer of 2022, David Blitzer took on a 25% ownership stake in the Cleveland Guardians, and I do know that eventually, I think it's like 5 years or something. I think we're probably 3, 4 years away from
Are you trying to
David.
prove that they aren't poor or that
No,
they're
no,
like
no.
not insanely rich?
I'm just saying that like there's an ownership change coming. Baltimore, there was an ownership change. We assume that Baltimore's spending habits are going to change with David Rubenstein now in the fold. They're making decisions as the majority owner of the Baltimore Orioles. David Blitzer, I think in like 3, 4 years, has the option to become the majority owner in the Cleveland Guardians. So that could change in like 3 years. But as it stands right now, it's the Dolans, and I can't assume, and I can't get pissed off at the situation because it does me no good to assume that they are going to change their spending habits. And I will
Wait, that's
say,
the smartest thing you said. It does me no good. You're right. It does me no good. I
it
mean, what am
no,
I doing? Raise my
you're
blood
yelling
pressure
at a
tonight.
cloud right now. It's and I
But I
don't
love the
feel
Guardians, and
bad.
it still just it
I
irks me
understand.
so much.
I'm going to say something you don't like,
Okay.
and you're going to think that it comes from bias because I was Isak Paredes over Josh Naylor. By the way, he finished a win better by WAR.
Gosh,
Although
Taylor was still
WRC
good though.
plus, I think Naylor had Paredes by a point. That was even.
We'll take it.
I will say for about $15 million for one final year, when you have Manzardo and when you have John Kency Noel and you have another lefty power bat and Chase DeLauder looking like he's big league ready,
He's
it
playing
does make
outfield.
sense to move that.
Like I guess. I mean, and Jokenzie Noel just hits for a lot of power, but I don't know if he's good enough to have the starting DH role for the entire
Oh, I
season. I
think he
think he's a
should.
great bench bat. I don't
No,
think he has the bat to ball. I think he hits some awesome home runs, and I think he's a decent player. But Josh Naylor is a very good player, and he's still young. And maybe you then trade him at the deadline. I mean, don't trade him. I
John
guess you get
Kency
more
Noel,
value for him now.
John Kency Noel OPS plus in his 67 big league games. What was it?
I don't know. You'd have to tell me.
115.
Okay. How much of that was against righties?
I can give you the splits. Please hold. The splits for Big Jonk. Big Christmas. Against righties, a 683 OPS. Against lefties, a 968 OPS.
Okay. So he's your platoon bat. I
Okay. Why can't you
I get
platoon him and
trading
Manzardo?
I get trading Lane Thomas. I can understand that. You acquired him at the deadline. He's gonna walk. I get that. You got the Naylor brothers together too.
But it's a business, man. Business of
And that's
baseball.
but that's a clubhouse thing. Like I just think
Totally
that's
is.
I think that's important for what they're building here. And I think trading him to save $15 million as if that's expensive. What would Josh Naylor, if he was a free agent today, what would he make? He'd make a lot of money. I think he'd be like a 4-year deal
Yeah,
guy
but
for
Cleveland
probably
ain't
80
paying him.
million. No, I understand, but you have him for 15, so you have him even below what his market value is going to be next year. I think. And you're saying no when he just hit 30 jacks.
Yeah, and had a 2 WAR.
Yeah, he's not a great defender. We know what's calling him a
He's
great
not.
defender.
He's not great. He's terrible.
Yeah, but he's hitting, and that's all I care about if I'm the Guardians because I have Andres Jimenez being a vacuum over there at second. We don't need great first base defense. And okay, he's not a great defender. Put Manzardo there and then have him DH, and he's gonna hit jacks. And then against righties, you can put in Noel if you want. But I mean, sure, we can trade Josh Naylor, I guess, if you want to. You freaking
I want to pitch you on something because you say needs. I think the need is starting pitcher. Like they need
yeah.
starting pitching help, and I don't know if they're willing to pay a guy on a multi-year deal. I don't even know if like a Woodruff deal for Bieber is in the cards for them. Like I think Bieber is going to sign elsewhere. I think
Me
he's
too. And I
gone.
think he's gonna get plenty of years, and he should get plenty of
I think
years.
he's fine. I could see him signing a 2 year deal, like a 1+1 team, whatever it may be, elsewhere and just proving it and then hitting the market and getting the bag, or he just commits to backloaded 3, 4 year deal and you call it a day. And I could see that as well. But I have no idea which way Bieber's going to go. As it stands right now, Tanner Bybee, Ben Lively, Gavin Williams, Tristan McKenzie, who was brutal last year, and we know is pitching with a partial tear in his UCL, Joey Cantillo, Logan Allen, who was brutal last year, and then you get into Doug Nikhazy, maybe Ryan Webb if he's not taken in the Rule 5 draft. That's the starting pitching allotment right now. So I want to add two guys.
Yes.
I want to sign.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Before we do, who are you kicking out when we're signing two guys? I'm just curious.
I don't want to place any trust in Logan Allen or Doug Nikhazy yet.
Well, yeah, of course. But if we're signing pitchers in their current five,
I
who are
think
you kicking out?
I think you could very well send McKenzie back to Columbus. Like I don't know
Really?
if
It's
Columbus.
McKenzie.
I don't know if
That's why I wanted to
McKenzie's
ask because
okay.
I think it's Lively for sure. When it Lively was like one of their more consistent pitchers, but the underlying metrics, he's one of those giant innings eaters where it's like he says he should retire. I mean, he was fine, and you're going to give him another shot. But so, I
I
mean,
don't know
Joey
if McKenzie's
Cantillo,
okay.
yeah, I don't know that either. I'm just surprised that was the first name that came out of your mouth. That's why I wanted to ask because really, outside of Bybee, you can make the argument for any of these guys should be sent down.
Any of them. I think that Gavin Williams is the other confirmed
Yes,
starter.
we got to keep him
Um,
just because the stuff could be
yeah,
ace adjacent.
I think
Could be.
I think they found the Spider-Man meme to Cal Quantrill and Ben Lively. Like I think they found their outgetter, and Lively
Yeah.
has a spot in that rotation.
Do you like Cantillo? I kind
I
of like
love
Cantillo.
Cantillo.
He
I
he
love
needs
Cantillo.
he needs to take down that fastball usage by a mile. 48% usage last year. That fastball is by far one of his worst pitches. That Vulcan change is really good. He's got really good breaking balls, but he throws the fastball way too much. If he lowers that percentage to like he just throws everything a quarter of the time, 25, 25, 25, I think he could be good. He's just that
It's
92-mile-an-hour fastball just gets beat to hell.
it's
Stop
just
throwing that
tough
as much.
because he used to be 94, 95, and
I
I
know he's
hope to
not
see
though.
him there. I think it was a hamstring issue that
But even if
delayed
he's
the start of his
94,
24
95,
season.
there's not a lot of spin. It's not a great fastball.
But the changeup is awesome,
Really good.
and I think he could work as a swing man. So Cantillo's a big leaguer here. I think Logan Allen could end up in Columbus. I think the KZ could end up in Columbus again. And I think that Tristan McKenzie, like, he's got to prove that he's healthy and back to Tristan McKenzie. But I want to cross that bridge when we get there, and I want to create a situation where you have to shove a couple people out. Like I don't want a question mark next to a guy on the opening day roster. Um, I saw Mandy Bell bring this name up in an MLB.com article the other day, and I thought it was a really good name to bring up. I think a 1 year deal for Lance Lynn makes a lot of sense with Cleveland.
Yeah, kind of following the Cardinals memo where I'd like to get some innings eaters. I could
Yeah.
see that.
Lynn, 117 innings at a 3.84 ERA last year. Since the start of 2019, he's thrown 872 innings. That's the 11th most in baseball. What they need is somebody that's going to take the ball every fifth day after Bybee. And I think that's Bybee, Williams, Lynn, Lively, and you just figure it out from there.
I have two other options.
Okay.
Um, and I don't think they'll be very expensive. I'd like to see what the Guardians could do with Patrick Sandoval.
Is he out for all this
Is
year,
he?
or is he missing
Is it
half the year?
is it that much?
It's Tommy John.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. We'll move on to somebody else. Another lefty I had in mind who feels like a Guardian. What about Jose Quintana?
Yeah, I would love that.
Yeah.
Can they
Right.
afford him?
I mean, how much is how old is Quintana?
Yeah,
Quintana is
Sandoval's
36.
Sandoval's missing the whole year. Yeah,
Okay,
but
so never
Quintana
mind.
was good, and Quintana may get, can they afford a 2 year, $34 million deal for Jose Quintana?
Is that what it's being at 36 years old?
Why would Jose Quintana get paid less than Frankie Montas at this point?
Younger, more upside.
Yeah, but Quintana's done it. Like results have to
Yeah.
matter at some point.
No, they do. I understand. Yeah, I mean, if they weren't willing to sign Matthew Boyd, oh God, I hate that they're probably out on Quintana because
Yeah.
of price.
Welcome to
Oh,
guard ball.
yeah, this
This is
sucks.
why
And
you wonder
Guardians
why
fans, you
Stephen
deserve
Vogt
so
got
much better.
27 of 30 first place votes for AL
Yeah.
Manager of the Year. This is why.
All right, here's a Guardian. Let's give Martin Perez another shot.
Sure. Yeah,
You know he's gonna
for
eat
sure.
plenty innings.
I'd so much rather see Lance Lynn in a guards uniform.
Let's bring in both Martin Perez and Lance Lynn and let's fuck some shit up.
Now let me pitch you on another. We trade Naylor to the Yankees for Nestor Cortez.
Yeah, fuck it. Yep. I mean, yeah. I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Would the Guardians take Nestor for Naylor? I mean,
I
shout
think
out
so.
Nestor. I love you, Nestor, but I'm taking Naylor. It's a
1 year,
Nestor's.
$15 million. Nestor is hitting his final year of team control. He's going to make about 8.3. So you're saving about $7 million. If you are concerned about the flexor strain at the end of the year, then have him throw in a upper level catching masher like a Rafael Flores or something like that. Like I don't know if the Yankees
You don't
need
think
that.
you don't think we'd have to give up more than Nestor for Naylor?
I don't think so because he's $7 million cheaper.
Let's
If
do
you
it.
do, like, let's call it Rafael Flores, but I think Naylor for Nestor and maybe a lower level prospect. Or if you can get Flores, that should be the Guardians' first ask because this guy
Yeah.
was a 20 homer guy as a catcher in Double A.
Well, when you put it that way, I love the trade of trading Josh Naylor away from the Guardians. Now that you say this,
Yeah, there you go.
I would love Josh Naylor on the Yankees.
And I
Absolutely.
think I think Nestor Cortez, assuming that the
Oh
Guardians feel
wait,
comfortable taking him on with that flexor issue at the end of 24, you hope that rest can curb the flexor thing. What's up?
Yankees will never trade for Naylor. The rock a baby thing. I love Josh Naylor still. Yankee fans hate him.
Who
I
cares? Get
I
over
agree. Who
yourself.
cares? I agree. Who cares? Like I would love him. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I the optics and trading a fan favorite like Nestor, Yankee fans would go berserk. It would be the best thing for him. It's like feeding the Yankees vegetables, and I don't want my vegetables. They're good for you.
Yeah, but
Like
you're
this
going
is
to
a
look
good
like
trade for the
Popeye. Just
Yankees.
eat the
Yes,
spinach.
eat
Yeah.
eat the spinach. Yes, I would do the trade tomorrow, today. I'd do it today. Will the Yankees, because of their pride and their fucking and worrying about the fans? I mean, that's why they gave DJ LeMahieu that much money, is because they listen to the fans, right? So that trade makes so much sense, except for Rockabye Baby and Yankees loving Nestor. But let's do it. Screw the
Whatever.
Yankees. Let's do it.
Naylor for Nestor. Okay.
Love it.
So that rotation now, you want to sign Lynn or I want to sign Lynn over Martin Perez. I will say that
Why?
because
I feel
Lynn's
like
just
who
better.
you want to make a bet who throws more innings next year?
Yeah, sure. Give me
All
Lynn.
right, we'll do um All-Star Weekend loser. Oh no, we can't do All-Star Weekend. Okay, when we're together
Next
after the
offseason.
season is over, yeah, loser buys beers.
That's fine.
Martin Perez versus Lance Lynn.
That's fine. We're doing
Great. I'll
innings.
take Martin.
Okay, I'll take Lance Lynn over innings.
Okay, sure.
Works. Okay. So we just flipped Naylor for Nestor. We signed Lance Lynn.
Okay, we'll sign Lynn.
So it's Bybee, Nestor, Lynn, Gavin Williams, Ben Lively.
I can't believe that Tristan McKenzie is not making this rotation. I can't give up on him. I
Dude,
can't quit him.
he's got a partial
I
tear in
know.
his
He's got
UCL.
like no shoulder.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like he did not look good at all in AAA last year, and I feel so
Yeah.
bad. Like it was really hard to watch, man.
Yeah, or it could be Kentil instead of Lively. But regardless, we got arms here. We got
We
arms.
got
I
arms.
like this plan.
This is the first team in the history of this exercise that wouldn't benefit from signing a single reliever.
No, yeah, they need nobody.
They need
I'd
nobody.
rather just trust their minor league system to bring up somebody.
They have them. They have
Yeah,
them. So you will have, let's call it, 6 starters make the opening day roster. You have, 13 spots for pitchers. So you have 7 spots to fill. Like let's say that it's, Bybee, Nestor, Lynn, Gavin, Cantillo, Lively. So that's 6. Your 7 bullpen arms: Clase, Cade Smith, Gaddis, Heron, Eric Sabrowski, who looked awesome.
dog,
Dog. Andrew Walters, who looked awesome, former
dog.
Miami Hurricane. Dog. That's 6. And then one more, you got to choose between Pedro Avila, who looked really good,
Great
and then
swing man.
Franco Aleman, who is a stud in the minor leagues.
And if we're signing all of these pitchers, maybe Cantillo is more the swing man. Maybe McKenzie finds a different role. Maybe he
Exactly.
just can't go six. Maybe he's
Exactly.
better in that type of role. So yeah, we could almost trade from here. I mean, we need to do absolutely nothing to this pen.
Yeah. So now we move to the lineup. The catching situation as it stands right now, what sucks is David Fry had a hybrid UCL surgery. He can DH probably around the All Star break, but he will not be able to spell Naylor whatsoever behind the plate in
Sucks.
2025. That's why you bring back Hedges. So
Yeah,
it's Bo Naylor, Hedges, and then Fry can kind of DH.
yeah,
At first base with Naylor gone, that is Kyle Manzardo and John Kency Noel.
sure. I mean, it
Sure.
works. It's a good platoon. I mean,
It's good.
Manzardo's going to hit
It's what
righties. Jhokenzie Noel. Well, I like Jhokenzie Noel. It's just like,
it's what they're
damn
gonna
it,
do.
why are we trading?
It,
I
it's
know.
it's what
I
they're
know.
gonna do.
I know.
Second base, Andres Jimenez. You got your guy, the backup,
Yep.
one of Tyler Freeman, Gabriel Arias, Daniel Schneemann.
Yep.
Shortstop, Brian Rocchio, backup, Arias.
I think we're
Whatever.
I think
Jimenez.
we're rolling with Rocchio. He was great in the playoffs.
He
I
was
mean, maybe
great in
he
the
can turn
playoffs.
that into something, right?
Yeah,
I was going to say he's good defensively. He was not great defensively in the playoffs, but he was great offensively. Just kind of did a little switch.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm rolling with Rocchio again. I'm good with that.
Third base, you got your guy 40-40. There is a prospect that I think does make sense to have as a bench bat if they're willing to do this to his prospect status. I think they should be willing to do it. Juan Brito is a guy that I know just baseball had as a top 100 prospect at one point. He was very productive in AAA last year, and this is a guy that is a lot stronger than you would anticipate. He was the Nolan Jones return from Colorado when
Mhm.
Jones was a 40-man casualty. Like they found a lower level masher and he's there and he can play second, he can play third, he can play first base. I think we could use a backup like shortstop to be honest, or you're cool with Gabriel Arias and you call it a day. Like they would never do the Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez thing on the same team, but I think TA could make some
No.
sense as like a bench shortstop, but they wouldn't do it. So, I mean, like I kind of go to
I'd like to bring in Jose Iglesias to this locker room. I don't know how much he would be. Um,
where would he play? Would he spell Rocchio like
yeah, he would just back up both Iglesias and or excuse
or
me, Andres
Rocchio and Jimenez?
Jimenez and Roque. Yeah, he would just play kind of wherever they need him.
Okay,
But he might have deserved a starting role after what he showed with the Mets, and he's also a pop star now, so maybe he doesn't even want to play baseball.
yeah,
Um, Almedes Diaz, I don't mind. I know he was terrible last year, but he's if we're talking about backups and we're talking about spending zero money,
yeah,
I'm sure that he could get some big hits for the Guardians because that just feels right. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of guys who, spending more than a couple minutes on is slight waste of time.
yeah. I will say, I would like this infield depth a lot more if Jose Tano is still a Cleveland Guardian.
Yeah,
I think Tana's a solid third middle infielder, and I think that he's going to be a solid third middle infielder for the Washington Nationals. So sorry, Guards fans. The
breaking
outfield,
news.
yeah, the outfield. Jonathan Rodriguez was their minor league player of the year. He will back up Quan in left. Rodriguez can hit the ball to the ballpark,
Yeah,
and,
but
and
who
he's
cares?
not going to
Quan's
phase you
there.
too much. Yeah, Quan's there, and he's going to play
Yeah.
all the time. Then you've got, as it stands right now, Lane Thomas and then Will Brennan in right. That's going to change at some point very soon, I think. I think they'll move Lane Thomas. Will Brennan will be in center or Angel Martinez. Maybe that's the platoon. And Chase DeLauder is in right. So
Mhm.
what you have is lefty bat DeLauder, righty bat Noel in right field. You got Quan in left every day. And in center, you've got lefty bat Brennan. Then I think switch hitting Angel Martinez in center field.
I guess we're gonna roll with that
So
because we aren't signing shit.
but what do you add with Lane Thomas? Like trade Lane Thomas for what at that point?
The thing is, I think if you're trading Lane Thomas, you're not getting a big leaguer. I feel like Lane Thomas is a trade for prospects,
Yeah,
in my opinion,
yeah,
because I don't like what team is trading away a starting pitcher for Lane Thomas. That doesn't really make a ton of sense to me. I'm sure we could theorize, but I don't know if Lane Thomas is good enough to get a good enough starting pitcher to make an impact over signing a Lance Lynn or signing any of these guys. So that was my. That's why I didn't really bring any like trade proposals like Naylor to Nestor. I love because Naylor is good enough to get you a pitcher like Nestor. Is
Yeah.
Lane Thomas good enough to get you a pitcher like Nestor? Probably not.
Yeah.
And then if it's worse than that, probably not even making your rotation anyway. So let's get an offensive prospect, maybe an outfielder, maybe an infielder. Maybe we can get somebody, a decent shortstop prospect from somebody to be the next comer for Rocchio. I don't know. That's why it's like, I don't want to trade Lane Thomas. Let's just have him on the team and let's rake.
Yeah, you could have him on the team. My other thing is like you trade Lane Thomas for like Tampa just moved Siri. So like what if Tampa wants to take on Lane Thomas for 1 year and they probably wouldn't give you Caballero because Cabby's no, probably not.
No.
But
I
they
mean,
would
would
give
they give you
you
Taylor Walls?
yeah, but like you could also get some assortment of like a Slavis Basabe and one more. Like it's not sexy by any
Yeah.
stretch. But
I would maybe Taylor Walls. I mean, he's just
Walsh is
Brian Rocchio adjacent. Yeah, that's a lateral move for
just
absolutely no
not good,
reason.
man.
That's why I'm just
He
gonna
just
go
had a
get
buck
prospects.
83. He had a 60 WRC plus in 84 games last year.
Yeah, the owner's worth 5 billion. Want to move off Lane Thomas because he's worth
Yeah,
9 million.
just go get prospects, and it turns into a Brennan Angel Martinez timeshare in center, and then a DeLauder Noel timeshare in right, and then you've got Manzardo essentially playing first every day with Noel there to spell him.
Yep.
The DH, like you could trade Thomas for a low end DH.
Or you could just sign one. I mean, I got a couple ideas.
Who?
In terms of DHs, I got. What about Eloy Jimenez? Bring him in.
Yeah,
Try
so
it.
I thought about it. I have him going to Cincinnati. Spoiler.
I already okay. That's why I brought him up. Yeah,
Yeah,
but okay. So I have two different DHs that I thought would both be good for Cincinnati. Maybe we can give Cleveland the other one. JD Martinez. Let's see what you got.
yeah,
But yeah, I
I
mean,
like
adding
that.
that veteran bat,
It's a very low risk, cheap signing for a young team.
yes. And I feel like JD Martinez would kind of get fired up at this like
Yes.
this plan because he'd get some run here,
Yeah,
and that's what I think what he's looking for too. So I think we should sign JD Martinez.
I like it. Okay,
Yeah.
let's sign JD Martinez. And I think the Guardians are complete at this point. So
Yeah, that's why it's like it's so infuriating to me is like I want to do so much stuff with the Guardians.
I
I
get it,
want to
but
buy and they won 92 games. They were just in the ALCS. This team is awesome. Why are we selling? But that's the way of the land.
it's
And
it's
Guardians
also
fans,
the
I apologize for your $5 billion owners being like, Josh Naylor is too expensive.
yeah, there we go. Bobby Lee Jr.
Yeah.
No, it is also this is the sake of the exercise. Like to
Yeah, that's what
figure
we're
out
doing.
what they're going to do and essentially forecast what a realistic offseason could look like that nets the team positive. So
Yep.
this new look Guardians team would be Naylor and Hedges catching. It would be Manzardo and Giancarlo Noel at first base. It'd be Andres Jimenez and call it Tyler Freeman as the second base depth. Brian Rocchio and somebody as the backup shortstop. Jose Ramirez and Juan Brito as the third base tandem. Brito would fill in at second as well. The outfield, Quan and Rodriguez. Rodriguez is the depth in left. It'd be Angel Martinez and Will Brennan in center, and then it would be DeLauder and Giancarlo Noel in right.
I'm excited for DeLauder.
Yeah, he's
That could be a huge
I
bat.
his swing pisses me off. I don't
I love
it
it.
doesn't make any sense to me. How do you get power out of that? It looks
It's
like you're
almost got some
falling backwards.
I know it's got some like Stanton to it, where it's
Yeah,
like
but
swinging a
it's like
club almost.
how are you uncomfortable on a pitch middle, but he's not uncomfortable. It's just the way he looks. It's
But it's
like
just such a cool looking home run.
it's like the Step Brothers thing. If I saw DeLauder, I would explain his swing to him like Rob Riggle explains Will Ferrell's face to him in Step Brothers. Like something about you, I just want to deck you. He's like, yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Is there anything I can do about that? But that's how I feel about it. But I am excited about the production that he could provide. The rotation, new look now: Tanner Bybee, Nestor Cortez, one of Lance Lynn or Martin Perez, Gavin Williams, Ben Lively / Joey Cantillo, and the bullpen. Clase, Cade, Gaddis, Heron, Zabrowski, Walters, Avila, Alaman. You just run it back from
Yeah,
last
they're
year.
going to dominate. Yeah, I
Cool.
mean, I think this team's going to win the division again.
Damn. I think so too. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Cincinnati Reds in a moment. One more quick break, though.
let's play general manager for the Cincinnati Reds. They've made a couple offseason moves so far. We're going to go through their stats from last year, tell you where they were efficient versus deficient. They got a couple of outstanding free agents. We got some needs. And then I wrote down a bunch of moves. Now, Jack asked me before, uh, maybe a day ago when we were planning on who's going to record, and he said, "Oh, you're going to LA. Do you not want to do this episode? Do you want Arm to step in so you can spend more time with Amaris's family, my girlfriend?" And I said, "Absolutely not. I need to do the Reds." And you all know me. I'm a big time bettor. And I normally unload on a couple of teams that I love in the futures market, whether that be over, whether that be under. Last year, biggest bet of my life, Miami Marlins under 78.5 wins. I am now tracking the Reds as potentially becoming one of my largest wagers towards the over. Towards the over. A big reason why, not the entire reason why, is the one-run game rule. These Reds were 15 and 28 in one-run games. And now, for teams who have horrific bullpens and they're just bad teams, it might make sense that you lost a couple of one-run games or you're on the wrong side of luck. The thing is, the Reds don't have a bad bullpen at all, and I think we could see a bounce-back season from an Alexis Diaz. And I also look at a Reds team that was injured all year long. And could this be the year of Nick Lodolo? Could this be the year of Graham Ashcraft? Because they've already made a couple of moves. Let's talk about them. And a move I love. Traded Jonathan India and Joey Weimer in exchange for right-handed pitcher Brady Singer. Really like the fit of Brady Singer in Great American Ballpark. Number one, and the biggest reason of them all, keep the ball on the ground. We know Great American Ballpark is tiny. Great American Small Park is the nickname.
Yeah.
Really easy to get the ball out of there. So to get a guy who you know is going to soak up innings and keep the ball on the ground, I really, really love. What was your first reaction to that trade?
Mutually beneficial. And
I
I think
agree.
that was industry consensus that it was a mutually beneficial deal. India is a good player that was surplus for Cincinnati.
Yep.
Singer is a good pitcher that was surplus for Kansas City, and they
hmm
both filled holes.
Absolutely. I still like it for Kansas City because Jonathan India is a good player. But when you're talking about surplus, we got Matt McClain coming back playing second base or shortstop. I know obviously Ellie De La Cruz is there. He's your shortstop, so it's most likely going to be McClain to second
I
base. I
don't
don't
know.
know. Yeah.
Yankee?
No, no. I mean, yeah, probably a Yankee, but no. So Ellie De La Cruz is going to play short. Matt McClain is going to play second. I think that creates one of the most exciting up the middle duos in Major League Baseball. We also
Yeah.
got Noelvi Marte at third, who's coming off that PED suspension. It was terrible, but he's still 23 years old. He's still a top prospect. We trust in him. We'll talk about more of the roster in a little bit. Nick Martinez accepted the qualifying offer at 21 million. I continue to pound the desk. I think he's one of the most underrated pitchers in Major League Baseball. The guy pitched to a low threes last year. Ever since he came back over from the KBO, has just been the definition of solid. And finding a pitcher who can be that successful in Great American Ballpark, they do not grow on trees. So at 21 million, when you're looking at the rest of the market, if I'm a Reds fan, I'm happy about that. But we got to address this offense because last year, 21st in OPS and 19th in home runs. They got plenty of speed, though. They were third in stolen bases. Thank you, Ellie De La Cruz. Starting pitching, 16th in ERA, 11th in whip. I think they're going to be better this year. And the bullpen, again, 18th in ERA, 18th in whip. And they were ninth in strikeouts per nine. That does not tell me that you should lose 60 or 70% of these games where you're in a one-run game. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I think the luck is going to change for Cincinnati. I think that there are areas that we can fill with some ideal free agents. I also think that they have the prospect capital in order to make big moves. We've heard that they are one of the teams potentially in on Garrett Crochet, that they're potentially one of the teams in on Luis Robert. I don't love actually going to get Crochet. Obviously, it would make them better, but it would be extremely expensive. And with how good the rotation is right now, and with how much you also have in the minor leagues that could potentially come up and help, I don't love that. We could talk about potentially some Luis Robert moves,
Yeah.
because I think the number one need for them is a power outfielder.
Yeah.
So last year, Jack, we know Spencer Steer has a lot of power, but Will Benson, Jake Fraley, Spencer Steer, and TJ Friedel, how many home runs do you think they combined to hit? Four guys. Four guys. How many home runs do you think they hit together?
I bet Friedel had half of them, and I think Friedel had 15-ish, like maybe a little under. So I'd say 30.
No, I mean Spencer Steer.
Oh, Steer, good call.
You have Steer and you have Benson and Friedel and Fraley. Like, it's not 30, whatever. It's kind of one of those things where you kind of disappointed me,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
where I wanted you to guess something high and it's actually really low, but I kind of foreshadowed it was going to be low. They combined to hit 52 home runs between
Okay.
four guys. That's not good enough. We need, and for example, Friedel and Fraley, the the F brothers, they keep getting hurt too. And Benson, just after last year, it's hard to say that he's a part of the future here. We just need outfielders. We need outfielders bad, and we need to get bullpen. Are you touching this rotation? I ain't.
No, I think it's near flawless, and I think there's depth as well. You have frontline stuff like Hunter Green has proven to be a number one starter, so Green
Yep.
is that.
Ace.
Singer and Nick Martinez as the 2-3, regardless of order, I think is awesome.
So solid.
You have to bank on Lodolo being good again. So Lodolo's the 4, and then you have this opportunity for like co-5s, Rhett Lauder and Andrew Abbott.
Oh,
Those are 6 guys that should be starting games first turn through a rotation for really any Major League Baseball team. Um, I see a world where they send Lauder to AAA for like 3, 4 starts to open the year and then they get him back. But those are 6 guys that I feel very confident in. I think Carson Spires is a decently solid option as like a number 7 break glass in case of emergency starter. And I think
yeah.
Chase Petty is ready at some point this year to give you starts. So
Yeah.
there's enough there.
I just want to harp on Rhett Lauder because, of course, Paul Skeens comes up and takes the world by storm, and deservedly so. But the next pitcher drafted in that draft was Rhett Lauder out of Wake Forest. And coming out of the draft, I compared him to Kevin Gausman, and it was mostly about the hair, but it's also about the stuff, too. And then he comes up and he pitches to a 1.17 ERA. I thought he was outright disgusting. I think he should definitely be a part of the Reds' plans next year. Remember, this is a first round draft pick out of the pitching lab that is Wake Forest, and he comes up in his first season and pitches to a 1.17. Now, I know 4.34 expected ERA. I know there's some underlying metrics, but again, we don't expect him to pitch to a 1.17 ERA next year. But can he pitch to a mid threes over 150 innings? I think that's well within the cards, which would be one of the better pitchers that the Reds have had consistently. And that's not even talking about Andrew Abbott. That's not even talking about what Nick Lodolo could potentially be if he just finally stays healthy and figures it out. They also, again, have Graham Ashcraft, and then they also have Singer, Martinez, and Green. I love this starting staff. I wouldn't do a thing to it. That's why I saw they were floating Louder in these Garrett Crochet deals. No, sir. No, sir. I'm not trading Rhett Lauder. He is untradeable in
Wow.
my eyes. Untradeable. I'm not trading Rhett Lauder. Big
Okay.
believer in him.
Okay. I don't think they make a move for Crochet. Like, I don't think it
I don't
makes
think they should.
really any sense. I feel like it could have made sense if Martinez declined the QO and he hit the open market, but I don't think it makes much sense anymore.
I don't think so too. We can talk about a trade for Luis Robert. The thing is, it's like it's so frustrating because you see the reports out of, that the anonymous GM thinks that Chris Getz is basically the layman terms on crack
Yeah.
for the type of offers that he wants for Luis Robert. And I get it. I mean, you look at 2023, you see 38 home runs, you see 20 stolen bases, you see elite defense, and you see potentially one of the best players in Major League Baseball. Then the next year, he was awful.
Yeah.
So it's hard to gauge his value here. But the thing is why, and I know Reds fans want to trade for Luis Robert, but I think there are plenty of under the radar free agents. And I also have a couple of trades that I think make them better instead of leveraging the farm and then using this farm to potentially go get guys at the deadline
Yeah.
where you see more holes open up here.
Yeah. So I don't necessarily think I went bargain hunting. I just think I went to places that could be realistic, um, complementary pieces for this Reds lineup. I will say there is one glaring deficiency here, and it's just sheer numbers in the bullpen. Like they need people, and you have to bank on
Yeah.
an Alexis Diaz bounce back.
Yeah.
And Brent Suter just agreed to another deal, and you paid Emilio Pagan last year. So those are 3 essentially confirmed guys. Fernando Cruz, Tony Santillan, Sam Moll. You love that?
I like that.
Really?
Like is on a spectrum. The word
It
like.
is. It totally is. So
Do I love that? No, but I have three options that are really, really cheap and that would all make sense.
me too. I have two external, I have two internal relievers, and I have three internal hard conversations. So I have five internal options. Your internal relief options, you give Zach Maxwell and Luis May a shot. Luis May was in the Arizona Fall League this year. He can run it up to 101, maybe even 102 on his best day. Zach Maxwell can run it up to 101, maybe even 102 on his best day. You
Great.
try the two flamethrowers, you see which one works. The other, okay, send him
Maybe
back to
they both
Louisville.
work. Maybe they both
Maybe they
work.
both
Who
work.
knows?
I think you have three brutally honest conversations with three starting pitchers: Graham Ashcraft, Lyon Richardson, Connor Phillips. They're clearly out of time in that starting rotation, and they all clearly have reliever stuff. Connor Phillips is it right. Last year was horrible. He was walking the world in
Yeah.
AAA. But dude, he's 100,
Yeah.
and like it's
He doesn't know
fascinating.
where it's going.
Yeah, but like maybe in an inning spurt, he can hone
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah.
Lyon Richardson has reliever stuff when he's right. Graham Ashcraft has reliever stuff when he's right. So let's try it as a relief pitcher. So those are my five
Yeah.
internal options.
Yeah. So I wrote down re-sign Buck Farmer
Okay.
because Ian Jabot is
Yeah.
also a free agent. And just to recap,
Non-tendered.
they're free agents. Yeah, they're outstanding free agents. Ty France, Ahmed Rosario, Ian Jabot, and Buck Farmer.
Yeah.
Or, some of them are non-tendered. But those are some I just wrote down the guys who, potentially they'd want back, probably not.
Yeah.
But I'd bring back Buck Farmer. I think he's good enough, and I think he's found a home here in Cincinnati, and I rely on him in like the sixth inning. And then I wrote down make Graham Ashcraft a super cutter slider reliever.
Sure.
Because if he's holding 97 with the cutter through six, I want to see what that looks like at 100.
Yeah.
And can you be, this is wrong, but I think it's funny. Can you be Walmart Class A with the cutter slider? Can you be Walmart?
Yeah.
Can you be Sales Rack Class A? Because Sales Rack Class A is still pretty good.
Yeah, dude. I hear
Class
you.
A is Class A is Louis Vuitton, and Graham Ashcraft would be like the $20 Louis Vuitton on the streets of New York that you could buy that's fake. But like some
Right.
people might think it's Louis Vuitton.
Like, oh, you got that Louis on. It's
And
like,
it might look
yeah.
like Louis Vuitton sometimes. And all I need is to look like Louis Vuitton sometimes.
Bingo.
So I talked about those two. I also want to bring a guy who's used to pitching in the National League Central, a guy who had one of the highest ground ball rates in Major League Baseball last year, a guy who put up a 4.73 but a 3.15 FIP. It's a very boring name, but Hobie Milner.
Yeah, that's fine.
Bring him in here. Keeps the ball on the ground, 51% ground ball rate, a lefty, right? They only have Mole and they have one other lefty off the top of my head.
Suitor.
Brent Suter, who's kind of Hobie Milner adjacent, but I like Milner a little bit more. Um, and you know who I also, and you'd have to remind me, I did do a little bit of research. He's coming off shoulder surgery. I hope he's okay. Buy low on a Kendall Graveman. Bring a guy like him in here.
Okay, fascinating. I have another type of option like that, not
Okay.
Graveman. Um, Loizaga is probably going to
Yeah.
miss what month or two, but I saw he was already going through his throwing progression. Like,
Yeah, the only reason I didn't bring him up is when Arm and I did the Braves one, I gave Loizaga to the Braves.
okay, there
But
you go.
yes, that's a perfect one.
Yeah,
Yes.
Loizaga on a 1 year, $2 million, $2.5 million deal to prove that he's healthy and his arm's still
Yes.
attached.
Yes.
If you really do want to escalate and you want to pay another reliever, AJ Minter on a 2 year deal.
He's a Brave. I
Hey, he's a free agent right now.
I know, but he's such a Brave. Like
Yeah,
he's such a Brave. But yeah, I agree. If I'm the Reds, I'm not paying relievers right
I get
now.
it. Yeah,
I
I'm
think
spending on the offense. Yeah,
Yes, I think we can go bargain hunting here. I bring in Milner, I bring in Graveman, I make Ashcraft a reliever. Maybe we bring back Buck Farmer, and we got a pretty good bullpen here.
yeah.
I mean, it's not great. It's not going to rank in the top 10, but I think it's going to rank in the top half.
You just
I
got
think
to
it's going to
be
be in the 12 to 15 range and be
all
pretty
you,
solid.
all you got to be is ahead of 18th. Like
Yeah.
that's what I want.
And it's all on the backs of Alexis Diaz too.
Yeah.
I mean, can you be the guy that you were in 2023? And in 2024, he just some bad luck too. Like Fernando Cruz. Do you know how many Reds games I saw where he like weirdly gave up a grand slam for no reason? It's just they got really, really unlucky last year with names that are not that bad. So I think this bullpen can bounce back, especially if Graham Ashcraft becomes something.
Yeah.
But I think a more interesting. So are we good? We signed Hobie Milner. I'd also like a guy who I just like feel good about. Holds appreciators will love this signing. Andrew Kittredge.
Is he a free agent?
He's a free agent.
Oh yeah, Mr. Holt.
Yeah, holds appreciators.
Come on.
Right. If you want to lock down the sixth, go
Yeah.
get Kittredge. You know what I was kind of worried about though? I was looking at Kittredge's year by year. He threw 70 innings, I think, in 2021. In the next 2 years, he combined to throw like 38. And then he just threw 70 innings last year. So I'm like, oh man, are we gonna sign to a 2 year deal? He gives us 10 innings a year. I don't
Bingo.
know.
Bingo.
But
Yeah,
I,
that's playing the patterns.
so in this Reds bullpen, you would have Alexis Diaz, you would have Hobie Milner, Kendall Graveman, Graham Ashcraft, Fernando Cruz, Emilio Pagan, Sam Mole, Tony Santillan, and Brent Suter. I mean, are we not like kind of happy about that? I am.
Uh yeah, Suter is going to be in there the whole time. You just named like nine, and I think there are 6 or 7 spots in a
Exactly.
given
Like we have all
rotation
of
or in a
them.
given
We have all
pen.
of them. Maybe we
Yeah.
don't bring back Buck Farmer. Sure.
Well,
Send him to another team.
and I think you could run into another reliever here in Lyon Richardson or Connor Phillips. So that
Maybe.
and like we didn't even mention Zach Maxwell or Luis May
Yeah.
being
Though
in
any
that
of those
final big league
flamethrowers.
bullpen. Yeah. I like it. And then the rotation as is, keep it there.
Yeah. The rotation is, I think it's, I'm just, there's so much potential here, folks.
Yeah.
Green could really become truly one of the best pitchers in baseball. Pitched to a 275, 150 innings, 169 strikeouts. Brady Singer. I know he's not the best pitcher in the world, but he's going to give you 6 innings,
He's
2 or 3
exactly what I
runs.
want from a 3 starter. He's
Just feeling
exactly what
good,
I want.
feeling safe. When Brady Singer takes them out, I feel good about that day. Andrew Abbott, I feel the same way. You're a little bit lower on Abbott. I get it. Underlying metrics do not like him, but
Yeah,
I
but I love
still,
Louder.
yes. And then you have Rhett Lauder, who I think could, potentially be one of the better young pitchers in Major League Baseball. Nick Martinez is the definition of solid, and Nick Lodolo just has way too much in the tank for me to ever give up on him. And that's 6 guys. I mean, that's 6. That ain't 4. And then we're trying to figure out the 5th, like in past Reds teams. This is 6, who I all feel good about. So even if Lodolo gets injured for the 800th time,
Yeah,
we got guys coming up the pipe. So
bingo.
now let's address this power outfield. And I have options, and I'm just going to go straight away with mine. Oh, go ahead.
Can we just get the infield out of the way real quick?
Oh, sure. Let's get the
Uh,
infield out of the way.
First base, Candelario and CES. Cool.
Good.
Second base, McLean, Santiago Espinal, who they avoided arbitration with. Cool.
Perfect.
Tyler Callahan, they added to the 40 man as well. He can be kind of that, depth infielder. Ellie De La Cruz, McLean is his backup at short. Awesome.
Love it.
Noelvi Marte, Espinal at third base, whatever you do it. And like you address it in 26 if shit hits the fan
Yeah.
again.
You just got to give Marte the run. This
You
is the
have
year
to.
for Marte. You're giving it to him.
Real quick, Tyler Stevenson, Alex Jackson is a non roster invite to spring training. I want to sign a backup catcher, Elias Diaz on a 1 year deal. Get it done.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Especially put his batting Great American Ballpark. He'll hit some home runs.
Yeah, I mean,
Right? Put
Elias
him for
Diaz.
Colorado.
Don't forget he was the All Star Game MVP. Not
All-Star
2
Game
years
MVP.
ago was the All Star Game MVP. So Elias Diaz.
I cannot think of a better fit in this outfield. So just to recap, this outfield right now, we got TJ Friedel in center, who's coming off 341 plate appearances. We have Spencer Steer, who's locked into that. He's probably going to play left field for them.
Yeah.
And right field Jake Fraley, who has 382 plate appearances. The problem with this outfield, like Friedel and Fraley are talented. They just don't play enough. They routinely get hurt. Fraley is more of a platoon, right? You're not putting Fraley out there against lefties ever. Tyler O'Neill in this ballpark is such a beautiful fit. Provides the power, has not MVP upside, but like if he gets going, it's all-star level upside here.
Yeah.
And I love it too, because even if he gets hurt a little bit, you have other guys who are getting hurt a little bit too. So hopefully they just match up where one of them's not hurt and one of them's hurt. Because if Tyler O'Neill is getting hurt, that probably means Jake Fraley's not getting a ton of runs. So that means he's healthy. So I love love the fit of Tyler O'Neill in this outfield, and he's not going to be that expensive, right? What are we talking about? 3 for 40? Maybe that's even too much for a guy like Tyler O'Neill, but I love the fit here in Cincinnati.
Tyler O'Neill breaks my brain because I don't know what the price point is for
Me
him.
neither at
It
all.
could be 3 for 40. It could be
But
three
it's
for 60, and I'm floored.
no way. I mean, even I'm doing the thing, and I'm the market guy where I'm like, no, it's going to be more than we think. 3 for 60 is crazy,
I mean,
crazy.
Tyler O'Neill is 29 years old. He won't turn 30 until June 22nd. And this past year, he put up a 131 WRC plus in 113 games. He hit 31 homers in 113 games.
He might be 3 for 50 might be in the ballpark, but yeah, he's going to be a little bit expensive. But those are the type of deals that the Reds can make, right?
Yeah.
You haven't signed anybody, right? Like you traded India, you got Singer, you gave Martinez the qualifying offer, and I'm not saying sign Anthony Santander. I'm not say signing Teoscar Hernandez, which I know
Yeah.
that Reds fans want, and I get that. But I think Tyler O'Neill's a cheaper option, and in terms of upside, he can bang with those two guys too when he's on, right? Jack
Yes.
just laid out the numbers: 31 home runs, a 133 WRC plus. Put him in your ballpark, and he could play defense too. I think we have to sign Tyler O'Neill.
I think it's the perfect fit. That's plan A. Plan B, you go to the other batter's box. I think the other outfielder that makes sense on a multi-year deal would be Conforto. Like
Yeah,
that's the other red fit, I
for
think.
sure. Not
Um,
enough power as I would have liked, but I still do like the player.
and I would prefer O'Neill over
Definitely.
Conforto, surely.
I have a sneaky trade. Chas McCormick's coming off a terrible year.
Mm-hmm.
But could potentially he be on the move here because he is also coming off a season in 2023 where he put up a 3.3 F WAR and a 133 WRC plus. Maybe after a down year, not as much pressure, get him in that ballpark. I could see him being a really productive player. And what is he going to cost? What? I mean, give him one of those flamethrowers that you don't think is going to work and then freaking throw in Carson Spire. Sure, take him. See if he can work with you. I mean, for Chas McCormick, I think it's going to be a low cost option. I think you'd be buying low, put him in your ballpark. You can play some decent defense, play in the outfield too, be more of a bench bat. You can work him as a platoon with Jake Fraley. I would really like to make a move for Chas McCormick, and I
I,
don't think the Astros really care to keep him.
I love that shout. I have no idea what he would cost. And
No idea.
I don't think
No
it's
idea.
much. I'm with you. Like
Yeah.
you should just be able to part with whatever it may cost.
But you know what
Uh
I would love, Jack, and the Angels won't do it because they're freaking buying. I
or
would
the
love.
Reds. Oh, the Angels won't
Well,
do it.
no, I'm saying I would love if the Reds went out and went and got Taylor Ward.
Yeah.
Love that fit. It's just the Angels aren't trading him because they're buying.
Yeah, no, and I would think honestly I'd prefer Tyler O'Neill over Taylor Ward.
Yeah,
I would.
yeah, I probably would. Yeah,
So let's pay Tyler O'Neill. All of a sudden, O'Neill plays right, let's call it. Fraley moves to that fourth outfield spot.
yeah.
I mean, CES could DH. Like, really, the only other thing that I want to do is DH, and that's where Eloy Jimenez comes in. 1 year deal for Eloy Jimenez if you have the funds. If not, CES is your DH.
I want Jock Peterson to platoon with CES and make
I,
like an actually insane DH
I
platoon.
mean,
I
he
mean, come
costs too much
on.
money for that.
Ah. What if would it be better if we traded for Chas McCormick and signed Jock Peterson? Would we actually be a better team than Eloy Jimenez and O'Neill? I think we would. And
So,
Peterson's going to be cheaper than O'Neill too. So we're cheaper and I think we're better.
so it would be Steer in left. It would be Friedel in center,
McCormick and right
or yeah, Friedel in
or
right,
Fraley.
McCormick in
That's your platoon in your right field.
yeah,
Let
and
me make
then
sure McCormick can still hit lefties.
and then you've got Jock as like the DH, but also fourth outfield type, and then you have Benson hanging out, and Hurtaby's hanging out, and Stu Fairchild hanging out.
Oh my God. I mean, McCormick put up a 550 OPS against lefties. He was terrible last year, but
Yeah,
it's like the year before that, he He put up a 1.009 OPS. He slashed 325, 399, 610 against lefties in 2023.
Can I be honest? For the Reds' aspirations in 25, I think the O'Neill plan makes more sense.
But you're really banking on upside there. And then your DH option is Eloy. And like, he's
Eloy and
worse than
CES.
CES. But you have no lefty there. It's like both of them are the same exact player. Well, that's kind of disrespectful to CES at this point. I just, I want that lefty bat. I mean, potentially then is Fraley more of your DH option, but he can still play.
Or you sign Conforto instead of O'Neill.
Yeah. I really want Jock on this team. I think Jock against right-handed pitching, you put him in the middle of the lineup to protect Ellie. They're gonna hit. They're gonna hit a lot. And Peterson in that ballpark, I love. And then I think you might roll the dice with McCormick because he's got upside too, and he's not gonna cost much. But I love the fit for Tyler O'Neill too. So I could go a lot of different directions here. But the thing is, if we go O'Neill, that means we spent a good amount of money, and we're going to spend almost nothing on DH, and then we're really relying on CES to hit. And I don't know if I really want to rely on CES to hit. Because then it's like I'm relying on two guys that I don't know if they're going to hit in Noel V. Marte and CES. But if I get Jock and I get McCormick, I feel much better. And then if Noel V. Marte has this great year, I mean, we're cooking. We're cooking.
It's a lot of
You see
things
the
going on
vision?
right now. I do. I see the vision. I see concepts of a plan. Uh, what I need you to do is honestly make an executive decision because I could go either way on O'Neill or Jock.
So I love the Tyler O'Neill move, but the more we actually talk about it, I think he might be more expensive than we think he is going to be, which makes me think that he doesn't end up a red. But you know who will I think could end up a red here is Jock Peterson
Yeah.
because he's not going to be that expensive. He is really a DH at this point. Like we're
Yeah,
making
but
up
he
fantasies
he
thinking he's a
also had a
fourth outfielder.
908 OPS in
Yeah, and then imagine a Great American Ballpark, and then we trade for Chas McCormick, which is not going to cost that much, and we still have a really good farm system. And you could kind of trade one of these arms that maybe Houston likes that just hasn't worked for you, and then give him another prospect or potentially a major league player. I don't know if they'd want to try Will Benson, right? You can package Benson for McCormick, Benson and more. I don't know, but I don't think McCormick's going to be that expensive. Change of scenery could definitely hit lefties. I know he didn't last year, but he's proven that before. You platoon him with Fraley. You get Friedel and you got Steer, and then you got Peterson at DH. That's a better team, and it's cheaper. I think that's the way we go here.
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Um, should we do anything else?
I don't think so. No, I think we have it settled. So let's go through it again. So
Yeah,
Stevenson and we signed Elias Diaz to a 1 year deal. So that's the
perfect.
catching tandem. Alex Jackson can be your third, hanging out in AAA like they had Tucker Barnhart for a little bit
Sure.
last year. Candelario and CES at first. McLean, Espinal, Tyler Callahan at second. Ellie and McLean at short. Noelvi Marte, Espinal at third. Steer in left. Chaz slash Friedel in center. The other in right. Or it's a Friedel Fraley McCormick platoon. Jock is the DH. CES DH is against lefties. The rotation would be Hunter Green, Nick Martinez, Brady Singer, Nick Lodolo, Rhett Lauder, Andrew Abbott. That's six, with Spires and Chase Petty as the depth, and then the other is the depth. The bullpen would be Alexis Diaz, Emilio Pagan, Brent Suter. You signed Hobie Milner. Graham Ashcraft is a reliever. That's five. And
Kendall
then
Graveman.
Graveman. And then it's one of Luis May, Zach Maxwell, Sam Moll, Tony Santillan, Fernando Cruz. I don't even think you
Good
need
ass
Graveman.
team.
I don't even think you need Graveman.
Yeah, you probably don't need Graveman.
Do
We'll
you roll
send
with
him
that?
somewhere else.
That's fine.
Isn't this a good team? Due for some luck too.
Seems like an over, doesn't
Seems
it?
like an over. They better not give me a win total in the 70s, Vegas.
We'll
You
see.
hearing me now? You better not give me a win total in the 70s. That's all I got to say. So that'll do it for this episode of the Just Baseball Show. Hopefully, everybody enjoyed playing general manager with the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Guardians, and of course, all the free agent talk at the beginning. This is our last episode of the week. Of course, you're hearing this on Friday. We will be back Monday, continuing playing general manager. Who's up next? We got the D's, right? We got Tigers,
I think it's
Detroit Tigers.
I think it's Detroit and Houston.
Interesting. We're already up to the H's, so get ready for that. Two teams who played each other in the playoffs. That'll be certainly a fun episode. And if you have been enjoying, the best way to support, rate and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, as well as subscribing and liking on YouTube. Go get yourself some Just Baseball merch. Jack's rocking the hat. Unfortunately, I'm in the pianist. I'm in the pianist studio.
Yeah,
Um,
pianist. Yeah.
so don't have any of my merch. I apologize, but go get yours in the description below. Also, sign up for the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter is cooking right now. I just got it in my inbox. It's got legitimately everything.
Yeah.
People over here at Just Baseball are killing the newsletter. It's free, obviously. Just sign up using your email. It takes a couple seconds. You can find that in the description below. Hopefully, everybody has a great weekend. For Jack McMullen, I'm Peter Apple. And with that, thank you, everybody.
Rocktober next week.